Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. Today is Sunday, October 25th, and I'm getting ready to run my COVID-19 analysis for the country of Spain. Spain just announced some new measures to to try to battle COVID-19. What if we can find out exactly what those measures were? But the way people are talking, they're pretty extreme. Let's see. Okay, Spanish government orders nationwide curfew amid efforts to slow the spread of ridiculous. Spanish government has declared a new state of emergency and ordered nationwide curfew effort. Well, we are living in an extreme situation. It is the most serious in the last half century, said Spanish Prime Minister. Reality is that Europe and Spain are immersed in a second wave of the pandemic. The drastic measure goes Sunday night and will require all regions except Canary Islands. Well, why not the Canary Islands? Once again, we're seeing this bias to impose a curfew. It will remain in place for at least 2 weeks, and any further extension would be by approval. The more mobility, the more infections. Well, I hate to disappoint them, but I don't know. This isn't going to do anything. It may lower the cases down a little bit, but it isn't a solution. Also, how does ruining businesses by shutting down their hours good for the country as a whole overall? At what point are we going to stop becoming obsessed with cases and focus on a cure, a vaccine, or a cure? Okay. I guess the other point I made before is just suppose it never goes away. Suppose like the flu, the common cold, other great killers. Suppose it never goes away. How many cases? A year from now, how many cases and how many deaths could be acceptable per year? Anyway, that's enough of my little rant for it. I should take a look and see what the Spanish government's all concerned with the numbers here. Okay, so currently Spain is averaging 3,498 cases per day, but only 116 deaths. All right, so let's take a look at mortality rate. Yes, the mortality rate is up a little bit, but it's still low. But the average mortality rate is still below 2%. What countries would love to have this number right? This average mortality rate. Daily cases and deaths. Well, the first problem is they need to start reporting numbers every day because it's really hard to really understand what the underlying numbers are when you're lumping 3 days into one date. But nonetheless, we can use the lowest line to say, well, currently cases are about what 20,000 per day, maybe. Deaths maybe 250 per day, 180 to 100 to 100 250 deaths per day. This is a little zoom in here. You can see that there is a clear trending upward in cases. If we zoom in on deaths, you can see deaths may be leveling off a little bit prior to declining. Now, if you look at weekly numbers, you can see that cases began climbing up in July, then leveled off a little bit before resuming an upward climb. Again, deaths are still remaining relatively low. So this would be 1,000 deaths per week. That's, I don't know. Uh, October cases will certainly pass September cases, and October deaths has already passed September's deaths. So while the situation isn't good, I guess I just don't see a curfew, 11 p.m., 6 a.m. really changing anything. What about the the hour, what about the peak hours of 4 to 8 p.m. At restaurants and stuff like that? Anyway, this is 5,000 deaths per month, and this is a little over 2,500 deaths per month. So while Spain's situation is not good, it's not nearly as bad as probably some other countries in the EU. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for putting my little rant right there. Obviously, I'm not in Spain, but still, I think it's the path a lot of countries are going, and it isn't going to solve the problem overall. We have to go back and look at the Spanish flu in America. There was 3.5 waves of Spanish flu, and they basically went through the same thing that we're going through now: lockdowns, masks, open up, spike, so forth. Until God intervenes or we come up with a vaccine and a treatment, we're going to continue to go through these waves. At some point, we have to put the country as a whole ahead of the individual, and that means we have to open up the economy again. I mean, how does bankrupting the country, ruining tens of thousands of businesses, good for the future of the country? But anyway, sorry for the rant, but I just get a little frustrated sometimes when people don't really understand, And so anyway, I just updated you. You'll find a link to both the website as well as the code and the data in the description below. And finally, one last thing on a lighter note. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and just hit the red S button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen and and subscribe to the Caribou Data Science channel. Thanks so much for your time. We'll catch you on the next report.